I mentioned a number of times the Rashi at the beginning of Parshas Vayechi. Rashi comments, Al no tikbareni b'Mitzrayim. Yaakov Avinu, even though he lived in Mitzrayim for a period of 17 years, but as Yehuda Levi Kuzari writes, Libi b'Mizrach v'ani b'toch Marav. Even though physically I'm in one place, but where's my heart? In Eretz Yisrael. They say in the name of the Ostrovtzer Rebbe. Not often that I quote in Admor. The Ostrovtzer Rebbe said, they asked him, where do you live? I live in Eretz Yisrael. Even though he was in Chutz La'aretz. So we have a similar situation that occurred as well at the end of the Parsha. Not only does Yaakov want to be buried in Eretz Yisrael, but Yosef also has a similar request. The Torah formulates the request of Yosef twice. Once in the end of Vayechi, and once in the beginning of Shalach. So, Maran Harav Zatzal, Harav Soloveitchik Zatzal, pointed out a fascinating distinction between the two formulations. One word difference. At the end of Vayechi, the Torah says, Vayashba Yosef, es b'nei Yisrael le'emor, Yosef administered the Shua, Pakod Yivkod Elokim Eschem, that's the password, according to Chazal, Pakod Yivkod, V'alisem es atzmo sai mizeh. Yosef, even though he's the Mishnah Melech Mitzrayim, even though he lived in Egypt, he married in Egypt, he had children in Egypt, but Yosef also knew very well the dictum of the Kuzari, Libi b'Mizrach v'ani b'toch Ma'arav. He knew very well that the home of a Jew is in Eretz Yisrael. And that's what he expresses. And he administers a Shua, similar to Yaakov Avinu, who administered a Shua to Yosef. But Yosef was even in a more difficult situation than Yaakov, because Yosef, as we know, was the Mishnah Melech Mitzrayim. Yaakov was a foreigner living in Egypt. Yosef was already, if you will, indigenous, a kind of native citizen. Yosef dies, and we know what Chazal tell us later on in Bishalach, and it's actually part of the Hallel, that when they saw the Aron Vayanos, the Aron refers to Aron Shel Yosef, Moshe Rabbeinu, Klal Yisrael was concerned with Bizas Hayam, and Moshe Rabbeinu was concerned with fulfilling the last will and request of Yosef HaTzadik that he should be buried in Eretz Yisrael. The Torah at the beginning of Shalach, once again, reports to us and rearticulates this idea. Vayikach Moshe Esatzmos Yosef Imo. Why did Moshe Rabbeinu take the Aron of Yosef? Ki Ashbea Hishbias B'nei Yisrael Leimor, because he administered a Shvuah. Pakod Yivkod Elokim Eschem V'alisem Esatzmosai Mizeh. But then the Torah adds one word, Itchem. Asks Rav Soloveitchik, why in the Parsha Vayechi, the original Parsha, the word Itchem is not found. In Dafkei Mishalach, the word Itchem is found. An extra word. And the answer the Rav suggested, a very beautiful answer, a very significant answer, is the following. And that is, as I mentioned, Yosef's the Mishnah Melech Mitzrayim. For Yosef to go ahead and publicly, in the presence of Paro, and in the presence of all the Egyptian overlords and aristocracy and populace, to make such a request is nothing short of being treacherous, an act of begida. That's a lack of loyalty to the country that I lived in. Not only that I lived in, that sustained me and sustained my entire family. And Yaakov Avinu was given, shall we say, the largest of Yosef, which is the bounty of Egypt. So to go ahead and publicly express such a idea, such a notion, that itself was difficult. So certainly, he could not really express what's in his heart. And what was in his heart? I would like my body to be brought to Eretz Yisrael for burial, because really, even though I seem to be an Egyptian, but I am not. I'm a Jew. I'm a loyal Jew. I know exactly where my home is, where my place is. And as the Ostrovtzer Rebbe said, and the Kuzari said, even though I'm physically living elsewhere, but my heart is in Eretz Yisrael. But Yosef cannot express that openly. However, in Bishalach, when the Torah reports on Yosef and what he had done, there the Torah tells us exactly what he was feeling through the use of one word. Which word? Itchem. That's what our Soloveitchik suggested. I am one of you. Even though I seem to be a native Egyptian, I seem to be part and parcel, part of the warp and woof of the Egyptian fabric, of Egyptian society. But as far as I'm concerned, I am a Jew. And where does a Jew belong? In Eretz Yisrael. All that is expressed, embedded in the word Itchem. Chazal tell us, It's Medrash, it's Gemara's. Yosef shahoyde ba'artzoi, nikbar ba'artzo. Because how did Yosef, how was he identified in the context of the dreams that he had, and the Sarah Mashkim, the Sarah Ophim, and of course the Sarah Mashkim speaks about Yosef in a very belittling kind of fashion. When he comes to Paro and tells him that there's a gentleman who knows how to interpret dreams. So how exactly is Yosef described? B'sham mitanu nar ivri. They know exactly that Yosef, of course, is an ivri. He's not really one of them. He's set apart. He's set aside. So Yosef shehoda ba'artzo nikbar ba'artzo, because he admitted, acknowledged the fact that he, shall we say, really was connected to Klal Yisrael. Therefore, Yosef was zocheh to be buried in Eretz Yisrael, and all that is embedded in the word itchem. Moshe Rabbeinu, how is he described? Ish mitzri hitzilot miyad haroim. He's described as an Egyptian. As a result, Chazal say, lo nikbar ba'artzo. He was not buried in Eretz Yisrael. Of course, there are other reasons, as the Torah tells us, but all this is embedded in one word. Which word? The word itchem. What a striking statement. How a Jew should see himself. Even a Jew who lives in Chutz La'aretz should be fully cognizant of the fact and should acknowledge the fact that he's in Golus. He's in exile. And the ideal home for a Jew is in Eretz Yisrael. And Baruch Hashem, obviously Jews in Chutz La'aretz certainly recognize that and realize that and make every effort they can to possibly come to Eretz Yisrael. Halavai, all of us should be zocheh. B'karov, that there should be an ingathering of kibbutz galuyos of Jews from the entire world coming back to Eretz Yisrael, utilizing Yosef as the model par excellence.